Coyote and the Star. Coyote and the Star. In the time before time, animals live interesting life. There were no humans, and animals were free to do as they pleased. Everything was perfect. There are no disease or no hunger, no war, and no suffering. The animals had everything they need. Well, almost everything. Coyote enjoyed the nighttime. He would sit on a rock outside his house all night and watch the stars. Every night he sat watching. He gazed at the one
large,
particular star that was very beautiful. This large star was more beautiful than all other stars. She was more beautiful than even the planet. She was more beautiful than even the sun and the moon. And Coyote thought they were very lovely, especially the moon. Coyote was in love with the star and talked to her night after night, but she would not respond to him. He floated across the sky and pretended not to notice him. Now Coyote knew among other animals as a song dog. Even though his voice was rather scratchy, he loved to howl and sing his song. He especially loved to sing when the moon was bright. So Coyote thought that he would sing a beautiful song, the star would notice him. He thought and wrote. After 3 days, he has composed a new song. He was convinced this was the most beautiful song he could sing. That night, Coyote went outside when the sky became dark. His stomach felt a little nervous, and his heart was beating faster than usual. He sat on his rock and waited for the star to rise above the horizon. When she did, he began to sing. Oh, beautiful star, I'm waiting for you. My heart is open and my love is true. I ask for your hand and your heart to woo. Please give me a sign that I'm not a fool. And he sang his verse and verse again, hoping she could notice. But she just flew across the sky and did not utter a word. The other animals heard Coyote sing and felt sorry for him. No star had ever loved an animal. They knew Coyote had often been been a fool, especially in matters of love. Coyote's older brothers, Wolf, just shook his head and sighed. Wolf has helped Coyote out of many difficult spots. She had a feeling that his silly younger brothers would get himself in trouble again. Coyote did foolish things for love. For 7 nights, Coyote sang his song and received no response. After the 7th night, he stopped singing. He was exhausted. He closed his eyes and dreamed of a ladder and took camp. He dreamed he chopped He closed his eyes and dreamed of a ladder that eliminated him to the stars. He climbed the ladder and took his star by the hand. They danced and danced happily together. When she awoke, he noticed that in the distance the star has passed away, very close to the mountains. He thought that if she could climb on top of the mountains, he could touch the star and convince her to love him. Coyote ran very fast, bumping into trees and tripping over rocks. I'll watch him run through the thicket of the blackberries without even notice. Gopper stuck his head out of his hole just as Coyote jumped over a falling tree and tumbled down a hill. But Coyote was resilient. He had determined to meet the beautiful star. The mountain was almost in sight when Coyote came to a deep river. The water was cold and the current was very swift. Coyote didn't like brothers. He had almost drowned many times in his adventures, and his long hair almost always got muddy when it got wet. He was getting frustrated when he noticed a tree branch that hung over the river. So he climbed the tree and tiptoed out onto the branch. Just as he reached the edge and he could jump to the shore, and the branch broke. Splash! His long fall. It was a long fall, but the water's conscience in his impact. He shook the water from his fur, crumpled about, looking like a wet cat, and continued on his way. He kept running until he finally stood at the mountains. The whole day has passed and the sun was now setting. He waited for the night. Soon the star appeared at the horizon. She was brilliant and even more beautiful than Coyote had remembered. He could now see that the other stars were dancing. She and the other stars moved through the night sky, dancing elegant steps. Coyote didn't know how to dance very well, but she sure wanted to dance with her. He waited patiently. He was filled with butterflies, and his heart was beating like a big drum. But he stayed quiet. The star danced closer and closer until finally she was on the mountains. Coyote reached as high as he could, but he couldn't touch her. He climbed, jumped, and tried again, but he still could not jump high enough. He begged her to reach her hand to his. And she did. She took his paw into the hand and pulled him up to her. Slowly, she danced with Coyote up into the night sky. They went far, very far above the earth. Coyote began to get dizzy and afraid. He did not think he was afraid of heights, but this was very high. His heart pounding even harder. Coyote and the star danced farther and farther above the sky, above the earth. Among the other stars, it was icy cold, and there wasn't a single sound. None of the other stars said anything. He begged the beautiful star to talk to him, but she is silent. Coyote looked down and saw a river as thin as line as the mountains, but mountains as moss bud. His heart was very cold. He begged the star to return him into the earth. He missed the rock outside his house and missed the ground. When they had reached top of the sky, the star let go the coyote for the time for one whole moon, 28 days. Coyote fell to the earth. He fell and fell, and he thought his life the whole time. He promised himself he would never act foolish again. He vowed to be a good coyote from that day on, but he knew he had committed foolish acts, and he felt powerful regret. Finally, he hit the ground. The impact of make the great hole where once there was been a very large mountain. The mountain he had climbed. The mountain, his blood turned into waters and filled the hole to become a beautiful lake. It is the deepest, bluest lake on the continent of North America. Now when the coyotes howl at the scar, they are scolding the scar that killed the first coyote. They remember him and his great love in the song.